So I'm going to hop right in. Tonight's session, we're going to cover what I call 6 technology levers. It's based on a book that I wrote, and the structure of the session is going to be as follows. I'm going to open up with 2 kind of real world examples. And the point of the introductory, and they're short, 5 minutes-ish. The point of the introductory examples is to motivate you or to paint a clear picture as to why it's important to act on the environment that we find ourselves in now from a technology, AI, et cetera perspective. The 2 examples are going to be one from let's call it a human sciences perspective. So, how can technology interact with humans to make the world better? The other is going to be from a very fiscal perspective. So kind of looking at the big picture in terms of business opportunity. Typically, a combination of those 2 impetuses is what drives a business person, a nonprofit, a church leader, an entrepreneur, someone with ideas in their head, oftentimes crazy ideas. Those are my people, by the way. Typically, it's a combination of the 2. You want to do something that you think is going to solve a problem, thus make the world better. But simultaneously, you're hoping for this to also generate some form of revenue or something so that it can at least sustain itself. Ideally, and what I'm going to propose to you is if we do this right, you actually can build these things that I'm talking about, these apps, relatively quickly. Typically, I see them built in about 7 days, meaning non-tech people, yourselves, can build an app in 7 days nowadays, even if you've never coded a line of code, and start getting value out of it. So after that, I'll get into what I call the Create framework. That is a framework I designed and developed that I use for when I am, kind of drive. So the way it works in an entrepreneur's mind or a pioneer's mind, typically, you're driving around, you see something happen, a truck stopped somewhere at a business, and your mind goes 1,000 miles per hour. Oh, why is that truck there? And most people would see a truck stop, and this is a real example, by the way. Most people would see a truck stopped at a business and say, oh, truck stopped over there, it's a truck, no big deal. Someone with a mind for ideas sees the truck and wonders, why is that truck there? That business is empty, the building is empty, and they start doing some research, and they see the sign on the side of the truck, and they see, oh, this is a construction company that has a truck in front of where used to be, in my case, Fry's Electronics in Plano, which is now, once a year, it becomes Spirit Halloween, and then the rest of the year it's there. So when I see a truck parked up there, I start, why is a truck there? So I inquire, and I figure out, all right, the truck is there because I literally go and talk to the people. It's a construction company that rebuilds office buildings. So I go, what do you guys do? Yeah, we rebuild office buildings. We'll be here for 6 months rebuilding this whole facility, and we're making it a Lowe's or a Target or whatever. Oh, cool, interesting. Where you guys based? New Orleans. So you came from New Orleans to here? Yeah, we put the whole crew on the truck and tools and everything, and we come down. My mind immediately says a business opportunity. Where are they staying? They told me they're staying in Howard Johnson, so I do a calculation, a team of 20 people staying in Howard Johnson's, $100 a night. I did the math. It was like for 20 grand for a month, I can get them one huge honking house to rent. Why don't I buy a house on credit and put them in the house? That's how an idea's. So if you think like that at the weirdest little things, that's not the only person that this is applicable to, but you for sure this is applicable to. So after that, we'll get into, after I kind of walk through the Create framework, because the intention of the Create framework is to equip you to take a vague idea into a clear strategy so that you can now execute on that strategy and actually go to market and build your app. That's the end goal. You have an idea, how do you make it into something profitable, something that generates income, something that is useful and people can use and see value in. After that, I'll show a lot of this on some of the tools on the computer, so you'll see it on the screens next door, meaning off to my left and right. In addition to that, at the tail end, we'll close up and then we'll have as much Q&A as you need. I'm saving space for about 15 minutes of Q&A, but if you know anything about me when I'm doing these sessions, I am not going to leave until every question is answered. So if Pastor Ray says he needs to shut the building down, I will literally stay in the parking lot and answer questions. I do not care. I like engaging, I like answering questions, so let's go. So that's kind of the structure of the evening. Let's jump straight into the examples. Example number 1, introductory example. This is the human sciences perspective example. There's a concept. It's not biblical per se, but we see it across, history. And it appears in the Bible as well, because the Bible, has historical context. And it's called the concept of liminal space. It's not a word you'll find in the Bible. It's just a general psychological and social studies concept. It means a space that's a in-between, where you're transitioning from one thing to the next. And those liminal spaces happen constantly. So typically what they look like is starts low here, then it goes up, and then it transitions and it goes into whatever else. This difference, this space here, from here to here, that is liminal space. So I'll give you an example of a liminal space where technology drastically changed the look of literally the entire planet Earth. So this is around 500 AD, more or less. This is about 1600 AD. This liminal space is the Dark Ages. People around the entire world were dropping like flies. White people, black people, European people, literally. There was plague, there was the Black Plague, rats running around through houses, it was terrible. This is not a Christian stat, this is a historically documented stat. This entire perspective I'm giving you, you could find this from atheist historians or, religious historians. It don't make no difference. That's pretty much the way it happened. Now, what happened in this liminal space that caused this change in the Black Plague? You know what it was? Right around here, a gentleman by the name of Gutenberg, who was a jewelry maker, he made fine jewelry with gold, figured out a way to build something called the printing press. This was in the 14th-ish century, 13th, 14th century. So he built this printing press, and the first reaction to the printing press was, this is bad. Because people saw this printing press, the first thing people were using it for was to print documents that were subjectively bad. Gossip rags, think like the National Enquirer type things, without the pictures, but that's what was printing. Why? Because humans were the same. Humans like sensational, kind of like, oh my God, is this really true? So people who had the money to get a printing press started printing them, and they realized they could sell them, so it was money for them. Also, a form of pornography became very, very popular without pictures, but they were describing very lucid acts, sexual acts, et cetera, and people like that. Again, that's the fallen side of the world. You put bad stuff out there, people are going to buy it. So what happened here, right around when the printing press was created, the church was vehemently against it. They said this thing is evil. They literally said it's the mark of the beast, it's the Antichrist, it's going to bring the end of the earth, blah, blah, they were vehemently against it. Somehow, a series of monks said, but we can also use that printing press to print these books that normally we write by hand. That was scriptures. And the monks, the church, started printing Bibles, and the printing of the Bibles, this is historically verifiable, single-handedly shifted the entire globe out of the Dark Ages. Why? Because people's perspective changed. Suddenly, they were interested in learning how to read. Prior to this, the literacy rates was sub 10%. Today, literacy rates are above 80% globally. What drove that drastic change was suddenly people had access to the Bible. Suddenly people wanted to learn to read, which then allowed them to also learn to read things about cleanliness. You can't live in the house with horses, and animals should be outside, et cetera, and that shifted the entire paradigm of the earth. I say all that to say We are at that same liminal space today. You can either sit on the sidelines and say, this AI stuff, this technology stuff, that's evil, it's the Antichrist, it's the mark of the beast, 666, blah, 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 whatever. Or you can sit back and say, listen, is there something redemptive that I can, and I don't mean that in a religious way, is that something that I can turn bad into good with? Is that something that I can use for so much good that it outweighs the potential bad that it has? That's what I'm suggesting to you today. This is not a thing that you could choose to sit on the sidelines and say, you know what, I'm going to totally ignore technology because it's bad, and I don't just want to get into it, blah, 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 whatever. You have to lean into it. Literally, the future of Earth depends on who leans into the technology the most. If the opportunists and the people with not so great motives lean into it, and we sit in the sidelines and don't, you know what the outcome is going to be. If we choose to use the technology for something good, I think the outcome could be vastly different. And that's the precipice, that's the liminal space that we find ourselves in right now. So that's kind of the human studies perspective. Let me give you one more perspective, and for this I'm going to need the screens on the left and the right. Take a step back. I promise that example number 2 would be a more size of opportunity type example. So, chapter 1 in the book that I mentioned already a couple of times, you don't need to show the book or anything, is describing how I did what I'm about to tell you to do. So my book is not written from the perspective of, I think this is a good idea. My book is written from the perspective of, this is a biographical book. This is what I did. This is how I went through. And long story short, chapter 1 describes a process where I was on vacation with my family. It was a 7-day, literally, a cruise with my 2 daughters, my wife, and a couple of friends. My daughters are at the time they were 14 and 15. I don't know if you know about 14 and 15-year-old girls. They're a handful. So I had all of the free time in the world, but nonetheless, I said, I'm going to take some time every day, 2-3 hours, and while everyone's by the pool playing, I'll be by the pool with my laptop, and I have this idea, I think I'm gonna build this app. It was actually my wife's idea. It's a system that I was using for a while to help me with meetings, and my wife said, I think, Greg, you need to make an app out of that. I argued with her literally for about a year, and finally I listened. And the net of it is, in the 5 days while I was on the boat, about 3 to 4 hours per day, without having typed a line of code, I was able to build a tool called Actiscribe. Helps with meetings and stuff. That's a different conversation. Long story short, that tool is now about 1.5 years old. It grew like crazy. My wife was right. When I offered it up to people and said, hey, you could use this tool, I think I charged $20 a month or something like that, it grew by 3,000% in the first month. It was insane. That tool has been growing, customers are signing up, and the way these types of tools work, think of them like a renewable financial source. It's like writing a book. You write a book. Every time someone buys the book, I get some money because you bought my book. I don't have to write the book every time over. I write the book once and sell it many times. An app is exactly the same thing, but even easier. You code it once, whether you sell it once or 50,000 times. With a book, I got to print it 50,000 times, not with an app. You write it once, and now it becomes a revenue source for your business, whether you're a mechanic or whatever. So Actiscribe has been working for about a year and a half now, and I recently, probably about a month or so ago, got an offer. A company wants to buy it. They're literally offering me between $390,000 and $507,000 cash to buy this app that took me 5 days on a cruise ship to throw together. That's the commercial side of it. So if hey, I can help people, don't trigger your ideas, hopefully this will trigger your ideas. And this is not a one-off case. This is not a testament of how awesome Greg is. Here is average time to million, so getting to what's called annual renewable revenue. In other words, you sell enough of the app and people are paying you $20 a month or whatever your price is per month. So now on an annual basis, you're collecting $1 million every year. My app only collects probably about maybe $500,000 a year. But that's $500,000 a year me sitting in the pocket. I don't do anything for it. It has no staff. It sits on a server and runs. The server costs me probably about $200-300 a month. That's it. And that can fund an entire salary for my daughter, my wife, whatever have you. It's literally just there generating money. And that is small. If I were to, and this is why I got an offer for it, if I were to focus and like market it and do some Facebook ads, etc., that could grow exponentially. The average business, this type of AI app, takes about 2 years to grow, 2 years and 9 months on average, as you can see from the graph, to grow to the level of where it's generating $1 million in revenue per year. That's average. Some of them will take 4 years, but they call those sluggish. Some of them that are like really, really impressive can do it in 9 months. So you could spend a week, build an app, and in 9 months, you have a recurring revenue source of $1 million a year. That can drive new ideas in your business. It can feed things in your church, ministry ideas. That can send people on missions. Because like I said, it's just there. It runs. It's not something that you have to babysit. Last thing I want to say, in case you're wondering what fuels the growth of apps, I can confer with this as well. Most apps, that was the little $15, $20 a month type apps, most customers sign up for and pay for a year in advance. Like 80% of my customers will, oh, we like this thing, Greg. Great, just $20 a month. Yeah, we ain't got time for no $20 a month. How much is it for a year? If you do a year, I'm gonna give you 1 month free. Here's my credit card, take a year. Next year it'll renew and they'll just re-up it again. Why? Because they see the value of it and they don't even, most of the customers are willing to just give you the money for a year because they can see it immediately. Some people do a kind of a freemium model where they say, you can get it for free and then, other features cost more. That's the more advanced way to do it. I don't even do that. ActiScribe, we give you 1 day free trial. You log on for 1 day, you can use everything on it. If it's what you like and it does what you think you want it to do and it's useful for you, start paying. If you don't like it, no problem, no harm, no foul, go about your business. You don't owe me anything, I don't owe you anything, thank you. Very, very simple. It's an easier to manage model. But with that, most people after the 1 day sign up for a year. And most of my customers, I would say about 79% of them, have renewed after the year is done for another year, even though the price went up. So that's how you build these AI apps. That's the opportunity. I'm done with the screens. Let's talk a little bit about the Create framework. The Create framework is the central theme of the 6 Levers book. And what the Create framework, and it's interesting, I literally got it while listening to a pastor preach a message that had nothing to do with AI or Create or anything. Just sitting there on Sunday listening, and I had the name of the book already, that it was 6 Levers, and I knew what it was about. I didn't know why I was inspired to call the book 6 Levers, but either way, a month or 2 or 3 later, I heard in my head rattling around during this Sunday sermon, the 6 levers is create. I was like, huh, what? And spell out create. No, it's create. Oh, 6 letters, create, got it. So that's what built the framework. And the framework is what I'm going to walk you through. When you have these ideas and you want to take it from idea to actual app that you can execute on, and everything you need to do this is in the book. I was talking with Pastor Ray earlier. Most people, or I should say many people, will be able to buy the book, $20, whatever, and run with it and build an app. End of story. The book is designed for that. But there's other tiers where I can also walk you through, all right, let me go through the book with you and actually hold your hand through the process. Some people need that. It's just like Bible study. Anyone can pick up the Bible in a life group in a church and study the Bible. Most people only study the Bible when the pastor pre-chews the Bible for them and gives it to them. That same principle holds with AI apps. So the Create framework, the intent of it is to equip you with everything you need to get an idea, research it, fine-tune it, and then build. So we're going to walk through that Create framework right now. First part of the Create framework is C, and that is determine your customer. Super, super important. And by customer, I don't just mean, and I'm actually going to show you some of this as well, I don't just mean who you're selling to. I mean, who are you selling to, and what is the problem. And in the book, I describe a Harvard MBA thing that I read somewhere called 5 Whys. You literally are supposed to ask 5 times why. So, okay, I think I have an idea for an app to help a mechanic. Why? Because mechanics don't have a lot of time to do administrative work. Why? Because their hands are dirty, so they can't use computers. Why? Literally, you got to ask that why 5 times, because then you narrow it down. Are you talking about just an app for mechanics, or are you talking about something bigger? That's an app for anyone that wants to track the stuff on their car. It's two completely different apps. But you got to first clearly understand, by using the 5 Whys paradigm, who is it this idea is for? Why is that important? In the YouTube and social media age, we kind of been taught that our attention span is very short. So in business as well, we tend to kind of hop and skip all over. And a mistake that entrepreneurs make often, or business leaders make often, is they will try to solve a problem that is so broad, it solves 50 people's problems. That is, sometimes you're lucky and you can do that. Usually that's not what you want to do. When you think about places like Netflix, Netflix solves really when they started, they solved one key problem. You need to go to to Blockbuster to rent a video. I've just dated myself. Some of y'all young people in here going, block what? But you need to go to the video store to rent a video. Netflix said, we don't want to do that anymore. We will mail you the DVD to your house. And they knew in advance that their idea was not to mail stuff, but they wanted to be able to get you videos and movies and TV shows in your house without you having to leave your house. So on the day that you're ready to watch a movie, it's right there. You don't need to pre-plan, we used to literally have to, okay, I'm coming home from work, call my wife, yeah, what you want to watch, a comedy? All right, I'm going to stop by the video store. You don't need to do that anymore. It's right there in your house, you click a button and it's there. That's the one problem they're solving. That's how detailed, now they could have said, but we'll also ship DVDs, and we'll also do this, and they could have added 12 things on top of it that are all great ideas. They maniacally focused on one little thing. That's their success. They did the C paradigm really, 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 really well. And I walk you through the C paradigm. The next part is the R. That's the research paradigm. That's where you understand very clearly and this, you got to hear me good on this. What are the other people that had this idea that I'm talking about, or that are pitching a similar idea to the same customer? What are they doing? Big mistake entrepreneurs often make, business leaders often make. They get an idea, like the pickup truck thing, and they figure they're the only one that got it. That's mistake number 1. But the bigger mistake is when you realize that you're not the only one that had it, now you abandon it because you're not the only one that had it. Big mistake. You need to understand, why is that entrepreneur successful where he is? And what do I offer that's different? I'll go back to the ActiScribe example. ActiScribe, when I created it, had multiple competitors that did the same thing. So I was like, what's different about mine? And I literally queried my wife and other people that I thought might be interested in it, and they said the big difference is you're focusing all on 3 clicks. You don't record meetings and Teams meetings and Zoom meetings and web, none of that. You're only focused on, if this is a meeting of in-person people speaking in a Starbucks or wherever, that's what you're going to generate notes off of. Why? Because that's what I do for a living. I literally jump on a plane, fly to New York, meet a customer in a Starbucks or in their office, talk for 2 hours, and then walk out the meeting, and my ActiScribe says, okay, this is what you said. These are the key points that you promised him. These are the 12 questions he asked. These are the references he referred to. And now I have my notes. I can now sit literally in the Uber, getting back to the airport. Team, the programmers team, you got to do this. The engineering team, you got to do this. The sales team, you're going to have to do this. And the CEO got to do this. And I'm going to have to take care of these 3 things. Done. Now, you could try to take minutes and notes in a meeting, or I could fly someone else along with me. It's kind of impractical. Taking minutes or notes in a meeting, very impractical because humans do one thing well at a time. So if you're taking minutes, or notes, it's because you're not engaging with the person that's across the table from you, which in some cases, that's fine. But in most cases, you need to first engage with them to get them to say something that you're going to want to write down. So that's where my whole paradigm was built from. So I focused on two aspects. One, in person, and two, I literally said, my 80-something-year-old mother needs to be able to use this. So one of the paradigms we built was 3 clicks and it's done. Click 1, start the meeting. Click 2 to end the meeting. Click 3 to send the notes out. Literally, that's what it is. My 80-year-old mother takes ActiveScribe to church every Sunday, records the pastor speaking, and then gets a readout of these are the scriptures the pastor used, these are the stories he used, these are his main points, this is every word he said. She gets it all 2 seconds after she leaves church. That was my target audience. That's why I was able to grow. Because I'm not trying to, you could build this into your WebEx and your team. I'm not concerned about that. There's other companies that do that well. I'm focused, I'm in my lane. That's what the research aspect allows you to do. So, C-R, got about 5 more letters to go. The next one is E, and that is execution. That is where you start understanding how you can actually execute on this. And for the non-tech people, this is critical. E combines with the A, and I should have probably written this smaller so I could have spelt out create, but you understand where I'm going. The E goes together with the A. E is figuring out how you can execute. A is actually assembling the tech toolbox that you're going to need to build this. And this is super, super, super important. The tech toolbox of today's age has changed. If you were the idea of creating an app is not new. 10, 15 years, there's apps, Dropbox, Facebook, they're all apps. What has changed thanks to the AI revolution is I firmly believe we are what I call the age of the ephemeral app. So apps are going to be so easy to make. I'll demonstrate this to you in a minute. This is today. This is not science fiction 10 years from now. This is right now. Apps are so easy to make that you can build one-off apps just for one specific purpose that you throw away. You couldn't have done this 3, 4, 5 years ago because to build an app, you spend in $100,000, $200,000. Some people spend $1 million to build an app and more. So normal people can't take $1 million and then use it for one thing and then throw it away. Because now you can use tools and generate an app based on natural language, that's the hurdle that AI has changed. So take a step back. What is AI? AI is the ability to process large amounts of data very efficiently. I have other courses and other books and stuff on what is AI, how to do it safely, etc. We can ask about that in the Q&A as well. But for the sake of our explanation here, the function of AI that we're using the most is called LLM. It stands for Large Language Model. So AI has been trained to understand somewhat language and respond somewhat in language, whatever language it's been trained on. I'm using my words cautiously because I'm going to give you a tangential warning. Even though AI has been trained in language, I'm purposely saying it's trained in language because it's not trained in knowledge. So this notion of I'm going to go and ask AI is usually a bad idea, and it's usually a very flawed premise. Because if you go and ask AI, what's the best chocolate chip cookie recipe, it will hear or read chocolate chip recipe cookie. And it's going to approximate things that it thinks are probably in chocolate chips, in cookies, and it'll spit out a recipe because you said chocolate chip cookie recipe. But there is no validation that that recipe is actually a good recipe. It could be the worst recipe in the world. It could be a recipe with 9 pounds of salt in it, like literally. Because what the AI, is doing is responding with a language question with language. So the sentences it gives you are rock solid, perfect in the language. But the knowledge behind those sentences could very well be flawed. There's this incorrect idea that AI is connected to the internet and it's just out there collecting all of the, the latest information. That's not true. AI's training cycles are very, very finite. And it's usually 6 to 9 months old. So that's why if you ask AI, who's the president, it'll either avoid it sometimes or it'll give you a wrong answer. If you ask AI about the Bible, it oftentimes will give you a wrong answer because it hasn't been trained on the nuances of the Bible. There's ways to circumvent that, but go into it understanding that all it is a language tool. So just like there's English, Spanish, French language tools, there are also programming language tools. So I'm going to do something kind of interactive to just, and remember we are on the assembling the toolbox chapter. I'm going to ask 2 people to just tell me what their business is, or at high level, what kind of business you think you'd like to do. I'm going to start with you because you're right up in the front. And it doesn't need to be true. There's any business that I'm going to use it as an example. Give me an example. Awesome. Business consulting. I need one more. Anything. There you go. Boom. Love it. So business consulting. I'm going to combine the two. That you are consulting with virtual fitness trainers. So I'm going to put the business consulting on pause for a minute. Virtual fitness trainers are a really good one. Give me the screens up on the side, please, when you can. So here is one such tool. Let me see if I can go full screen. Yes, is that legible? Yeah, it's moderately legible. I'll give you my notes afterwards. So if it's not legible, you'll get the recording. You can get the notes. But so this is a tool that takes English language and it generates code for you. So I'm going to be super simple. You have a name of a business? The Whole You Experience. Create a web app for what did you call it? Virtual fitness training business named The Whole You Experience. It should be very colorful and dynamic. Boom. That's it. So I have typed something in English. I'm going to say start building. You'll see what it does. And because this AI is not trained in English, this AI is trained in code. Even though you might not know code, you now have a coder that works for you. And this coder works for you, and there's many other tools that do this. I use this one because it's kind of quick and it's easy to demonstrate. There's tools that are really, really good in video type things. The virtual thing would probably be better in a video type setting. There's ones that are very, very good for quizzes and making books and that kind of stuff. So it said, absolutely, let me build that for you. I'll create a vibrant and dynamic website for the Whole You Experience. Initial prototype. Would you like any of these additional features? We can also make changes later. You want user authentication? Nah. Do you want an online booking system? So people can book appointments? Yep. Do you want payment processing? And probably live session integration. So boom. Approve, plan, and start. And what I want you to see is how quick it does this. This is obviously live. I didn't know she was going to ask this. This is the toolbox, and there are, like I said, many other tools for this. So I had another customer I was doing this with, and that's the code. It's showing you the code it's writing. But sit tight, you'll see. I had another customer who was doing this, and they said, listen, Greg, I want to be able to do a tiered thing where I have, a plan for, beginners for $20 a month, a plan for advanced people that are going to do more virtual fitness, and theirs will be, $100 a month. And then I want for the super, the mega. As a matter of fact, I want one for other trainers that don't have an app that I'm going to charge them $1,000 a month, and they're going to resell it to their clients for $20 a month. Good, so 3 tiers. If you're doing that 3-tiered pricing structure, there's a different type of tool that I would recommend for you. One of them would be Bubble, another one would be Softer. It's not important that you remember the names of them. I'm just letting you know there's multiple options out there. Another tool that you're probably going to be using is payment processing. Things like PayPal, things like Stripe, things like Square. That's what I personally use. This will integrate into all of them. So now you have a multi-tiered approach. You have a nice web app that fits in the multi-tiered approach. What if you need like a database? Long time ago, databases, you're talking about SQL Server, etc. Still exists, but it's a different language. Now you have low-code or no-code point-and-click databases like Airtable. Airtable is literally what I use for ActiveScribe. It looks like Excel, has columns, has rows, and I can say, okay, the first table is going to have customer name, customer email address, customer price range that he's in, customer billing address, and a couple of other pieces of information. It builds out the database for you. Done. I can then give that database structure to my code and say, hey, this is the database structure that I have. So far, not one piece of code I've typed. Now, that's the assembling the toolbox. The part that you want to be cautious with there you go, the app is ready. The part you want to be cautious with the assemble the toolbox part is you need to think before you start typing all willy-nilly into that little tool that I just showed you, which is called Replit. You want to have a plan first on, okay, these are the features I need. Because I was very she's taking a picture of it. I was very generic. I just said, just build me an app. And it built me an app. I could have said, and I actually showed this to Pastor Ray, build me a landing page for an itinerant preacher. You know, the preacher that travels around. So all his page needs to have is a picture of him, a couple of examples from YouTube, little boxes, and it built it in seconds. And show you something else. This is the program here. Expert training, holistic approach, mindful practice, some nice pictures. Like, it's a fully functioning website. I can also, if you look, open in a browser, this is a full publicly, like I can share you this link. You can go to this thing. It's public on the internet. You could go to it on your phone right now. It's a live 100% app that's ready to run. Good thing is, you can go back, oops, wrong one. Here, 1 second, boom, there. You can go here, and you see it saying, hey, do you want to add a database to this? To like keep track of all of your customers? You could say add a database, you could say maybe later. I could also say, I don't like the green. Please change to, favorite color? Black. And it will literally do that update. Like, that's how you can deliver and build apps very, very quickly. And a part of the intent, I'm sweating because this is scalding hot tea from the tea shop outside, which is amazing. This is a ginger lemon. I came in talking about give me black tea. It was like, try the ginger lemon. It was amazing. I mocked them and I said, this is hot Kool-Aid, but it is not. It is very, very good. There you go, black. Oh, didn't do black. Oh, there you go. Has changed to black. See it's saying, can you see the primary color has changed to black? So the text letters are black. How does the website look now with black accents? So the text is black. It doesn't like the idea of making everything black. But I could tell it, change. Oh, you see? So I could have left the green, but I'm saying any changes you want, you simply tell the tool, do it this way. So I'll give you one other little trick that I like to use. There's two. You've obviously heard of ChatGPT, and you've probably also heard of, in my opinion, the better one called Claude. These are two LLM engines. These are not good at code. They are very good at English, though. And ChatGPT, and both of them have engines that do this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use Claude first. Have what you call reasoning engines. So I can say, I am building an, what did you call it? Virtual fitness app. Please write a full plan. And the more details you give it, the the better the answer will be, but for sake of brevity, I'll help you create a comprehensive plan for your app. These are the key technical components that you want. See there? These are the features it's recommending. Macro measurement, back end, front end, et cetera, et cetera. This text that's over here, when it's done, you're going to want to copy that and give that exactly to the coding tool. So I did it kind of not so efficiently, and I just went to the coding tool and I told it try something. You're going to find yourself in a situation where you're modifying a lot. I didn't like it black, I didn't like it green, I actually want these two features. You do all of that pre-planning and structuring here. Get a nice plan, and you can tell it, make it more concise. I want it to be no longer than 3 pages, and you'll see 4 to 6 months enhanced features, month 7 advanced features. It even gives you potential risks, technical scalability, user privacy concerns. All of that you can give the engine so that it builds to those needs. Whatever your idea is, I'll tell you another one that I can't show you that because I'm about to publish it. I do mentorship, and I literally built my mentorship infrastructure, including a test for qualifying candidates that want to be mentored. I literally built that using this same infrastructure. I'm unique, I think I'm unique. So my mentorship for businesses and for technological entrepreneurs is based on the Gospel of Mark. Because the Gospel of Mark, 2 things about it I like. 1, it's the only gospel written by an African, so that's points in my book already. But 2, some of you looking at me like, huh? Yes, it's written by a black African-American person from Cyrene. Anyway, the other thing, and you see it in the way Mark is written. I study the Bible a lot. If you go and study it, you realize Mark has perspectives in it about supernatural things and spiritual things that's very unusual for some of the other books. And most scholars think Mark was the first gospel written, and all the others except for John, were built on Mark. But anyway, leave that alone. The key thing is Matthew shows Jesus as king. I'll skip Mark. John shows Jesus as God. First 2 verses of it, and the Word was in the beginning, and in the beginning was the Word, and the Word came to tabernacle with us. So John immediately is drawing the reference. The same guy that was creating, he's here standing with us right now. Luke, physician, draws Jesus as a man. Mark draws Jesus as a servant. So anybody that's in business, first thing you got to learn in business is how to serve people. That's why I built my mentorship curriculum off of Mark. Because whether you're Christian or not, if you learn how to find what the market wants and serve them, you don't have to convince people, could you please give me the dollars? People are going to come and give you the dollars because they see value in it. Period. Full stop. So I took the Gospel of Mark, chapter by chapter, wrote my little essays and summaries, etc., and fed it all into AI and said, based on this, create me a quiz, a test that I can give to applicants. I said it needs to have multiple choice, needs to have essay questions, can't be more than 15 questions, should be able to be done in about 25 minutes, and it should be at a college level. And it built it for me. And now every time someone reaches out, Greg, I want mentorship, here's a test. Do this, let's see if you qualify. Took me 2 afternoons to build that. I sell mentorship in the mid 4 digits, so thousands of dollars. And I probably got 50 or 20 people lined up for mentorship, ready to pay immediately. I built it in an afternoon. That's what you have at your disposal. I'm giving you these examples not to at all be braggadocious, but to hopefully spark some ideas in your mind that, oh my God, I've been sitting on this idea for very long. How can I execute on XYZ? Well, I'm suggesting to you, the ability to execute now is here. This first tool that I showed you, the one that built the fitness app, that tool costs $25 a month. You could buy it for 1 month, build your app, log off, don't use it anymore. You just spent $25. This one that this is $19 a month or $20 a month. If you want to have 2 ChatGPT, that's another $20 a month. You are sub $100 in tools right now, and you have equipped yourself to build literally anything your brain can concoct. That's what the 6 Levers book is about. Taking whatever is bouncing around in your brain, it's typically non-technical. Most people on earth, even in this day and age, are non-technical. My daughter's different. They're different animals. But most people are non-technical. Don't feel out of place because you're not a technical person. The tools exist to give you the ability to execute on technical ideas in a very efficient manner. That's one of the big benefits of AI. It has made it available for anyone to do. For my men's Bible study group, that I'm not the leader of it, I'm just a part of it. Whatever we're studying from the pastor that week, I literally, and it's usually based on his Sunday sermon series, I'll take his Sunday sermon, I'll even show it to you. This is one of the features of ActiScribe. Is it coming? Yes. Is Wi-Fi still connected? Yes. Evidently, I haven't logged in on this computer before. There we go. And let's go here and go to YouTube. And let's go to, there. I do not know who that is, but we will look for One Community Church. That's my church. And let's go to videos, and here. This is last Sunday's sermon. I can take share, copy the link, and I can go back to ActiScribe, and I can say YouTube transcription. The other thing that I want you to understand in this AI world we live in, and I'll get to the T and the E shortly, they're the easiest two, is AI gives you the ability, it's all about information. Wealth nowadays is generated by the information you have. In the agrarian age, so Adam and Eve, Abraham, Job, all the way up to the liminal period with the Dark Ages, for thousands of years, wealth was determined or measured by land, agriculture, and cows, cattle. So if you had, in the Bible, it refers to Job was rich. How does it tell you Job was rich? It don't say he had $1 million. It says he had a lot of cattle. Abraham, how do you know he was rich? It tells you he had a lot of camels, and he had hundreds of camels and thousands of this and that and the other. If you got 100 cows, where are you putting them? You got property. So that's why wealth was measured in agriculture. Fast forward to the industrial age, wealth was measured in machines. Because we found out in the industrial age that machines could do it faster than a cow or ox with a thing around its neck. So they built machines to plow fields and to grow, etc. So how was wealth measured? Who knows how to run those machines? That's where the whole college thing came from, because we were sending people in bulk to college to learn how to do engineering, to learn how to do machines. But in this day and age, machines and distribution is not it. A couple of years ago, you think you could sing, you think you could act, you gotta go and find, go on The Voice and pray to God that someone hears you, and then you get a contract to be able to write songs and sing them so that they get 80% of the money and maybe you'll get 15% of it. Like, that's literally how the publishing industry works. For books, it's the same thing. For movies, it's the same thing. Actor Denzel gets $10 million. The movie probably made $1 billion. He gets barely 1% of it. Today, we are in the information age. You think you could sing? Grab your phone, get on YouTube, practice singing. You think you can act? And there's tons of examples of it. People have this information. I wrote this song. I think it's good. I'm going to sit in my little office and play my little song. Someone hears it. Oh, my God. Shameful to say, the first one that comes to mind is this dude from a while back, Soulja Boy. He literally did that. That stupid song with the whoa and the... Anyway. One of the dumbest pieces of music, but he wrote that. Someone heard him singing it on YouTube, and he's now a millionaire. So back to what I was doing. So I put the link in, and I'm going to do transcripts, and I'm also going to do quotable lines. Let's say ActiScribe, and you will see here in a second, it'll start updating. But, and it'll give me summary, notes, details, references, scriptures the pastor referred to, everything. I can take that information that is my information. So for the pastors in here, If you're preaching a message every Sunday or preparing looking at you in the front, preparing a teaching for every Wednesday night, you're sitting on probably millions of dollars worth of books, apps, quiz apps, Bible study apps, encouragement apps, like literally. Take what you've already built and the information you already have, get it in a form that you could do something else with it, and weaponize that stuff. Like that's what, whoever controls your information, that's the one that controls you. So a lot of, and I'm on YouTube as well. YouTube's a great thing, it's a great revenue source, but even something like YouTube, people make I'll give you a better one, TikTok. There were people when TikTok was banned for that day and a half that said, I do not know how I'm going to live. I quit all my jobs. My whole job is TikTok. I'm out there doing stupid stuff on TikTok and people follow me and TikTok gives me money. Do you understand that you've given control of your tech, your content to TikTok? TikTok giving you 2 to 3 to 4% of it. They keeping the rest. So when TikTok fails or dies or shuts up shop or decides to close your account, you've supplanted control of your information to them. That's why Facebook is free. That's why Google is free. YouTube seems to be free because they just want your information. Because how is wealth measured today? Information. The AI paradigm gives you the tools to maximize the value you can extract out of your own information. I do these talks, and I've been doing them for years. Been in the AI industry for over 30 years. Yes, AI existed for more than 30 years, more than ChatGPT. Been in cybersecurity for about 41-ish years or somewhere thereabouts. And this is what I do. I go to customers and I talk to them. I took everything that I've been talking to customers for the last 5 years, and that's my book. I took my information and I went into GPT and I said, listen, here's a recording of a talk that I just gave. I need that to be chapter 1. Here's another recording of this session. That's going to be my closing. That's how I wrote my book. Like I wrote it. It is my content that I thought up and spoke in front of audiences, but I don't have a ghostwriter. If you have the financial wherewithal to have a ghostwriter, awesome. Most books are generated that way nowadays. Well, 5 years ago. They have content, it's rough ideas, or they do an interview, and the ghostwriter says, okay, I understand where you're going from, I have your voice, I'm gonna write it now. I don't have the budget for that. So there are tools that I use that help me go from, here's my content, here's another thing I can do with my content. I can make a book. Here's another thing I can do with my content. Like I was saying about the Wednesday night Bible studies, I have entire Bible studies that are prepared on a weekly basis. Remember I said ephemeral apps that you could throw away afterwards. Weekly basis, here's a quiz for all the men in the Bible study just on the content that Pastor spoke about Sunday. Multiple choice, some flashcards to help them remember everything. Boom, put it together, built, give them the link, share it out in your little group chat or whatever. And now your whole men's group has a different tool that's on their phone, and on their lunch break, they could be studying the Gospel of Mark or whatever it is your pastor's teaching on. So, this will finish in a couple minutes. Let me continue with, we got the virtual fitness app already. I'll come back to I'm done with the screens for now. I'll come back to the output of that thing from my pastor. CREA, last 2 steps is T. This is test. Can't stress this enough. Probably the second biggest thing that kills entrepreneurs. The first one was the beginning, what I said. They get the idea wrong. So they either don't have a good idea because they haven't narrowed it down enough, or they've narrowed it down and concluded with a little bit of research, oh, someone else is doing this already, so I can't do it. Huge, that'll kill most business ideas. The next part that cripples entrepreneurs is they're afraid of the test. So, and I literally spoke to an entrepreneur last week about this. He has a brilliant idea. I said, okay, we can build this thing out using these tools. I walked him through the same thing I showed you. We can build this thing out and we can get this going for you in, a week. Great, let's do it, Greg. Awesome. Then you need to go live with it. No, I can't. We're going to have to, exactly. We're going to have to, I didn't like the pink. Let's make it green. Let's make it purple. Let's change this letter. What do you miss out on when you execute on an idea and hold it to you like this? Not only do you miss the money and the growth of the business, you miss the key, most important thing in business, which is feedback from your customers. Your customers can tell you, and they will, this is a bad idea. But they will also tell you, like they did with ActiveScribe, dude, this is a great idea. I'm going to pay a year in advance for it. And when I started it's here on the screen, but when I started ActiveScribe, it had one feature. Take a recording of a meeting and make notes of it. I added the YouTube, and we got agents. We got like 7 other. Those were added over the rest of the year. Customers paid me for the year in advance for the one feature because they saw value in that. Dude, I'm in 100 meetings a week. I can't even keep up with sending minutes out of them. That's very useful for me. Your customers will tell you that quick. But they can't tell you if you don't put it out there. And don't think I'm telling you put it out there for free. That's part of the killer idea. If you have a price structure and you think it's $20, $25, $100, whatever, you need to put it out there for $100. Ton of entrepreneurs, you know what? I'm going to get my friends and them to use it for free. That's not a good source of feedback. Why? Because they got it for free. They're probably going to be very friendly with you. The best source of feedback is, will you give me $100 for it? Yes? That means it's probably a decent idea. Your cousin and your mama and them, they probably give you the $100 because they love you. If 10 people past that do it, you might be onto something. You might need to start talking on Facebook about it and say, I got this app, it does this. You might need to make a YouTube video and say, this is what my app does, and just share it out there. And you probably get another 100 customers that way. But if you keep it in, you'll never have that feedback. And there's negative feedback too. You might get, no one wants to give you, great. Drop it, move on to the next idea. That's the value of it only took us a couple of days to build it. If it's the bad idea, at least now we know. We could iterate, we could switch up. The customer that says, I don't know if this is why isn't it worthwhile to you? I think the price is too high. Oh, okay, we can adjust pricing. But what about the features? The features is all right. It would have been better if it could have done this, this, this. Aha. One of the features we added to ActiveScribe, because I started, for some weird reason, getting a lot of customers outside the US. Africa, Brazil. Says, why is everything in English? It's like, I didn't really think of that because I speak English. And they said, well, we do a lot of sermons and messages and meetings in Brazilian and in other languages. And the AI don't care. I can tell the AI output it in Spanish, great. So one of the features the customer told me to add, if you could add a translation option, it literally took me a minute and a half. I told the chat, add me a slider that says translate yes or no. And when you click yes, what language? And it just pulls up all the languages, as which language you want to translate it to. And all of my customers say it's the best translations I've ever heard, or ever read. Like, it's way better than, the little translation apps. Why? Because the AI is pretty intelligent at reading language. So when the AI hears a word that doesn't belong after this word, it don't know if what you're saying is true or not, but it can tell you grammatically that word probably don't fit there. It was probably a bad recording or noise in the Starbucks, and it'll correct it for you. So testing, meaning put the thing out to work, is super, super important. The final one is E. And what I'm going to do to make this a little bit prettier, C, R, E, thank God I can still spell, A, T, E. That last E, so this is the big one that we spent a lot of time talking about, assemble the toolbox. This last E is evolve. Remember what I just said? A customer came and told me it would be really nice if you could also include translations. Always be listening to your customers. We send a once a week email to our customers saying, here are some new features we're thinking about. What do you think? We have another page. As a matter of fact, I'll show you. Give me the screens back, please, when you can. It's actually going to be tricky. I don't have Outlook here. Anyway, no big deal. So we started off with original transcription, then we went to a different one, we got the YouTube, we got translation, we got YouTube translation, we got multi-speaker transcription. So that AI is smart enough to say there's 10 people in the room talking, and it identifies all of them, not by name, but it says speaker one, and every time speaker one, that's useful in a business meeting, because I'm not concerned with what I said. I'm more concerned with what he said, or she said, or they said. So speaker one is typically the first person that speaks, so I can very quickly identify, okay, all of that speaker one, that's me. What are the action items that speaker 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 said? And it lists them out for me. Next one that was very, very, very interesting, the pro features, cuter, here. ActiScribe for documents and agents. And what the agents allows you to do, they are hand-tooled tasks specifically pre-programmed to give you very, very detailed answers. If you look up here, so I can say something as simple as, I am selling my book about AI and building apps. Have you ever had to write text to put on your website to sell something? You know, there's a whole science to it. I trained this agent right there. You see that sales funnel agent? I trained that agent right there to write that type of text. So with this, I am selling a book about AI and building apps. I want it to be in the style of, let's say, hot take, which means controversial. So I say something which controversial works good on Twitter. People on Twitter, they want you to say something crazy so they can comment back so you get engagement. So I'll say hot take. If I'm not on Twitter and I'm talking to normal people, like on LinkedIn, I'll do personal achievement story, because then it writes it from the perspective of, this is what I did, maybe you should try this too. It could be educational, could be humorous. So I'm gonna take right now hot take, and I'll say sales funnel, watch what it generates. And this AI, this is something customers started asking me for. Can't you make a tool inside of ActiScribe that does this? So I literally took the best sales funnels from Russell Brunson, Alex Hormozi, etc. I don't agree with most of them, but they know how to write marketing text really, really well. I literally took 20 of their best funnels, fed it into my AI and said, figure out how they did this. What's the template? How many words are they using? And AI was like, well, what Hormozi always does is this. And what Russell Brunson always does is this. Said, good, those two templates, that's what's programmed in here. So here's a high converting sales funnel to hook viewers in the first 3 seconds, formatted as Markdown. You'll never look at apps the same way again. That's the hook. What if I told you building apps is 100% easier than you think? The story. I used to be just like you, staring at a blank screen, overwhelmed by code. But then I discovered this. So it's written the whole thing for me. You'll be able to, gives you nice little bullet points, build pro-level apps, automate tedious tasks, monetize your apps and make money, show testimonials from readers. What's the best part? You can start, like it wrote all of this in that couple of quick seconds. Why? Because this is the type of marketing text that people respond to. I don't need to be a marketing expert anymore. I've built an agent that is a marketing expert for me. I don't need to be a quiz expert anymore. I have a study guide agent that if I give it the first chapter of Mark, say make a study guide for me, it makes it with questions, summaries. This is the overall vision of Mark, all of it. That's how you can evolve wherever the idea started and bring it up to some other idea. So I'll close there. I'm looking at the time. As I promised, there's definitely time for Q&A. There's also books available. Just come see me if you need books. There's tons of books outside. But even if you don't want to see books, or if you need a free book, or if you need a free chapter of the book, please come and see me. I am at your disposal. But I'll close with this. I hope this has been not just informative, but probably more importantly, inspirational for you. I want this to trigger ideas in your head that when you go home and you see the truck parked up in front of Spirit Halloween, you stop and you ask the question. When you lie in bed, I want ideas to come to your head. I could build this. I've been sitting on this idea for years. I could just go ahead and execute on this. That's the goal of what we've put together here. Take your information that you already own, and most of you have probably already created, papers you've written, songs you've sung, ideas for movie scripts that you've written, ideas for apps that are just bouncing around, and execute on them immediately. This is the age where what you do with the technology is going to make a difference on whether technology is trash and it's just creating, deep fakes of people doing stuff that they weren't doing, or political misinformation videos, or are we going to use the same technology to just change the world and shake things up? That's the whole paradigm. Whether you are Christian, atheist, or whatever, if you have an idea that Gutenberg probably was not a Christian, but his printing press pushed the Bible to this day is still the bestseller book, full stop. I don't even know if Gutenberg was a Christian, but God used his idea to do something good with it. That's what I believe many of you in here have ideas bubbling around, percolating, and it's time for you to execute. Thank you, Pastor Ray. Thank you, THC. It was a pleasure. We have